Look at the man on the far right sitting down. These people are in my family. You can tell the Igbos are the most dramatic example of strength. This woman is from a royal bloodline and she is tall. Okay, I'd go as far as to say she's taller than the man. Look at the height of the chair she's sitting on versus the height of the chair he's sitting on. And the fact in her posture versus his. Why does she feel the need to do that? Because height is part of African masculinity. If God hates ugly, who's ugly? Jacob Rothschild or the Ethiopians? Whose family has people that look like Ethiopians? Me or Jacob Rothschild? Now, granted, some of my family are more Hamitic looking and some are slightly more Shemitic looking, right? Well, that's my argument in the first fucking place, isn't it? Who's closely related to the Egyptians? And aren't Jews just Africans, is one way to look at it? They were there for 400 years. What does it take to be an African? If not starting in Africa, going back for 400 years and leaving. Blacks migrated that way. Oh yeah, they were black. So Ethiopia is the most dramatic example of God's beauty. The most beautiful people in the world. And you see this in some other places being shown. Belize, etc. And they use their women to place their men in positions of power like every other disenfranchised people. But they are a little bit better at it in the gang world, perhaps. If you look at streetgangs.com's interviews, for example. And they manage to be in the spotlight more for whatever reason, right? H-Crown, that one Blood, and so on. And that one, I believe that one guy from H-Crown, I don't know. But anyway, some of you don't know what I'm talking about. You don't watch my other videos. Let me just, explore this a little more. So Ethiopia is the most dramatic example of God's beauty. And Nigeria is the most dramatic example of God's strength, naturally, okay? And Africa and Egypt is the most dramatic example of God's natural intellect expressed through men. One could argue that that is one way to look at the Trinity. Mind, body, and soul. God hates ugly, right? The mind is Egypt, okay? The body is Ethiopia. Why? They're beautiful. What better attribute to have for a body when you look at the body by itself without the martial arts scale than beauty? Even with a martial arts scale, there's a certain beauty attached to it, right? The beauty of beating your enemy. Oh, it's a wonderful thing. Even if your style seems sloppy to other people, isn't it beautiful to crush them in the name of your God nonetheless? So then who is the soul? Who's the soul brother that the white man went out of his way to grab because he's a demonic slave trader during that period of time, at least? Who? Oh, right. So the soul is with the strength, because martial arts are the core of religion, especially African religion. Zulu, Shaka Zulu, Sigeti, wearing leopard outfits. Now, the effeminate scribe would have you think that the leopard outfit is simply spiritual, or the emphasis is almost completely spiritual, and only a brute would see it otherwise. But of course, it is a martial arts symbol of African divine war arts, first and foremost, and everyone who's African knows that. And if I can ever find her again, the female who's known me best for 14 years before the government threatened her, subtly or otherwise, not to talk to me, which is what her behavior seems to suggest, knows that we were at that Ethiopian restaurant in, I believe, West San Jose, and an older Ethiopian lady mistook me for an Ethiopian, and she started asking if I had any connection to a specific tribe. And I didn't know what she was talking about. And I don't remember what tribe she said. Maybe that female I used to date knows, who's known me for 14 years. Look, I'm not racist. I am not a wannabe Ethiopian. The heart is with the warrior martial arts spirit. Ever heard had the heart of a lion? What is a lion? is an animal that can strike fiercely and effectively better than any animal in the forest. One could argue, right? Or one could also say the same thing about the hawk. And mix that with the hare's agility and the leopard's mind and resourcefulness and specific African kind of warfare. The leopard has to be emphasized of all the animals because it has more of our body shape anyway, right? You know, is a leopard a kitten? So if you were to compare an Asian doing panther style, right, you'd say he's a kitten, and the black guy is a panther. You know, and what's another word for a kitten? With all due respect, you got to look at this thing from the true perspective to realize why these people are doing the bitch shit they're doing, because it does not play in their favor in the slightest. The truth plays them out like bitches. No offense. Remember, God said to the Jews, "Are ye not the same to me as the Cushites?" The same. Now the harlot goes out of the way to look good. Okay? Remember the difference from the panther and the other forms of martial arts. The Igbos are the same to God as the Ethiopians. Amos 9:7 makes that clear. All the children of Israel, O children of Israel, are ye not the same to me as the children of Ethiopia? So all you Ethiopians who think that you're above us, sit down, put your heads down. Those who didn't, congratulations, you had it right. Thank you for reading the Bible and not just being a racist like the white man. So therefore, of the children of Ethiopia, who has proven themselves specifically to God more than the others? Who has the greatest warriors, you know, whether it's African Americans of Igbo descent or otherwise? Who has the top martial artist and the brain surgeon? Think about it. Who? Was it you, my brothers? Maybe it was the Somalians or the Angolans. No. We are the lions of Judah, and Nigeria is the heart and the trigger of Africa. And we are the people that psychiatry focuses on when they say they're going to try to trigger a mental disorder. If Africa was a handgun upside down, where is the trigger? And what people are they trying to trigger mental illness in with using environmental factors, background stressors, cultural stressors, culture shock to a certain degree, one could argue, and other detestable, underhanded, completely diabolical, demonically inspired, ratchet, vicious, little tart, friendly philosophies, ideologies, and detestable, unbearable values. Look, faith without works is empty. I'm not trying to snob you guys here. Okay, my girlfriend for many years was Ethiopian. Okay, faith without works is empty. If there's one child these people want to kill the most, it is the offspring of an Ethiopian and an Igbo, because they will have the martial arts and prowess of God and the beauty of God as well. And I'm asexual myself because of women betrayal. I don't trust anyone. And the white perspective, as I pointed out to Ethiopians in the apartments on the south side, is that the Ethiopians are a people who are wicked from their beginning onward. You see the difference between that and Amos 9:7? That is absolutely, completely adverse to that. So yes, many of the white Christians are Satanists on record, under the guise of Christianity, in a plot to remove the black man from his rightful place. And of course, that's what they've been doing for a long time. Friday the 14th, coming close to 5 years. I barely worked out at all this morning. Dear Jiu-Jitsu brothers, UFC fighters, can you please explain to me the difference between Jacob, wrestling God, and bloodless combat, which is consistent with Igbo culture, and some kind of wolf gladiatorial match, and why you're right and I'm wrong? Do I really have to explain to a bunch of dark side, Zionist, Talmudic, rabbinical, no, not quite, but complete slime type of scum, Kissinger types, evil, evil, why it is not cool to side with the Roman culture that destroyed the temple and they killed Jews, and they put punk-ass bitches like Herod in charge. Why it is not cool to side with the people who had sex with the Romans and it became the New World Order, or to take on the Babylonian culture. Oh, what a sweet culture. The Jews were there. The Babylonian Talmud. Who destroyed the temple? Who destroyed the temple because they like to team up with sick, pedophile, foreskin-sucking, detestable, Molech and Baal-loving, golden calf-kissing dogs? And who didn't? Do I really have to explain? Whose side everyone in the fucking world is supposed to be on? The difference between Malcolm, Martin Luther King, and Jacob Rothschild. Do I really have to explain how the Hebrew Israelites, whether they're controlled or not, are right about blacks being the Jews? And yes, some people look like weirdos, sometimes they're drugged. The devil likes to drug and confound speech. God likes to prove who's worthy through ritual combat, whether it is percussive skills or grappling. And the most dramatic example of grappling in religion, if you ask me, is when Jacob wrestled God. Now, this has spiritual connotations that go over most people's head. The difference between Jacob wrestling God and the Jews defeating enemies in battle. David defeating Goliath, okay? Jacob wrestling God is a one-time event. And after that, combat was proven through traditional martial arts skills. Some of them are overlapping skills. And the same spirit you can use to use your muscle to overcome an opponent grappling is the same spirit you can theoretically use to bring down the temple. Your chi energy, right? Your spirit. This is why we are looking for whose spirit is most consistent with ancestors. And when we look, we like to look at presentation and say, that's beautiful, like an Ethiopian woman. And we like to look at what matters most and say, that is the true power of God through your ability to apply it better than anyone else. Like David over Goliath. Goliath's argument was, who cares about African martial arts? I'm a Hittite, okay, and I'm bigger. David's argument was, look, the people my size can destroy the people your size. And I have more heart than you, so yeah, I'll take you one-on-one. Excuse me, the people of my race can destroy people your size. The people of your race, your size. David's argument was, the people of my race have a stronger spirit because of our adherence to God's morality. So we can destroy the people from your race because our spirit cultivates our mind, body, and soul to be superior. So yes, I'll take you with a slingshot, you bitch. If you get what I'm saying. Now, just because the average Jew was scared of Goliath, like the average Jew is not Moses, doesn't mean that David didn't prove Afro-Asiatic martial arts superior to Hittite bullshit, no matter how much they eat, how much they take on a Roman bull philosophy, how much they take on a cop pig philosophy. No matter how much weight they put on, how much muscle they have, it is this martial arts story of African martial arts because of their emphasis on Africa and Egypt being superior to non-African martial arts. And it establishes a fundamental principle in which one must adhere to if they are going to create a competition. And knowing that we already have stick-fighting priests in sparring going back before Egypt, going back to pre-dynastic Egypt, one knows that sparring has more than just a few religious implications.